Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Glad you could join me. I'm not sure why my video is so much darker today than usual. Anyway, I want to talk about Skulduggery Pleasant. This was one of the 4 novels that I read over the Christmas break. I'm not entirely sure what got me interested in Skulduggery Pleasant. I remember coming across it at a secondhand bookstore and thinking, oh, that could be interesting. But I then, something piqued my interest between then and just recently. And so I checked it out from the local library, and here we are. So Skulduggery Pleasant is the first book in the series by Derek Landy. Derek Landy is from Ireland. Ireland? Yes, Ireland. And it opens up with a horror novelist. His name is Gordon Edgley, and he has just died. His his niece, Stephanie, is there at the funeral and sees this kind of weird looking dude there. And then later they go to the reading of the will, and she sees this weird looking dude still there. And by weird looking, I mean he's wearing a great big hat. He has these sunglasses that basically cover his entire face, a scarf wrapped around him, and a big wig underneath his hat. And he's introduced as Skulduggery Pleasant. Because Stephanie was actually a likable child and got on well with her uncle, when he passed away, he left her his estate, left her the proceeds from his novels, his mansion, did the kind of the middle finger to one of his brothers, and their family by giving them a boat, and they don't even like going out on a boat. It was kind of funny. Anyway, she ends up at her uncle's mansion, now hers, and there's a problem with their car. And they call the tow truck. The tow truck comes, but they don't have enough room in the tow truck for her to go with her mother. And she says, look, I'll be fine here on my own. And that's when a dude shows up and starts trying to break into the mansion and demanding that Stephanie tell him where the key is. And she has no idea what's going on. But from this, she deduces that her uncle did not die, but he is dead, but he didn't die, he was murdered. And this is when she really starts to get to know Skulduggery Pleasant. Skulduggery saves her. And in the process, his disguise comes off. She finds out that he is a skeleton. He died several years ago and came back from the dead. And has been a force for good since that time. In fact, there was a war that went on, and he was one of the major players in that war, and has been fighting against the return of those people who basically started the war. What we find out is that during the war, there was one side that was trying to bring back evil entities called the Faceless Ones, who used to rule the earth. And these evil entities were driven away by the Ancient Ones, or the Ancients. And yes, the Ancients, excuse me. Stephanie, her family is descended from these ancients, and they left behind an artifact of great power, and the bad guys are looking for this particular artifact. In fact, one of the people who killed Skulduggery, his name is Serpine, Nefarian Serpine. So a lot of the names for the bad guys are very much on point. Anyway, so Stephanie gets wrapped up in this because, one, she's descended from the ancients. Two, her uncle figured out where this scepter was hidden and hid it again himself. And everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, I should say the bad guys think that Stephanie knows the location of this scepter that they need to then allow them to bring back the Faceless Ones. And Stephanie doesn't want to be left behind. She likes the little bit of danger and the adventure that is part and parcel of Skulduggery Pleasant's world. So, one, I enjoyed the book. So much so that the other book that I read during the Christmas break was the second book in the series, Skulduggery Pleasant Playing with Fire, which I will talk about in a subsequent video. I liked Skulduggery. He's charming. He's entertaining. It does stretch things a little bit to have a walking, talking skeleton, and basically his disguise is a large hat, a wig, enormous sunglasses, and a scarf. Things that could easily be knocked off 2 out of the 3. And that's entirely why Stephanie knows that Skulduggery is a skeleton, is because all it took was basically one blow from the bad guy for him to lose his disguise. And so the fact that he's running around as a skeleton with this disguise on and a stiff breeze could unmask him seems rather odd. The other thing is that while Stephanie is a likable protagonist, she's in my mind, and this is my reaction to Stephanie as a character in the series. She's written as her age in the series is that she's 12 years old at the beginning of this. If I remember right, she's 12 years old. I'm trying to see if I can figure that. Yes, 12 years old. But she... And this just could be her upbringing and things, but it's not really brought out in the story itself that she's like this. But she definitely doesn't strike me as a 12-year-old. She strikes me as someone who is much older than 12 years old. She's supposed to be 12, but she's basically an adult in the book. So it's a little bit of a, in my mind, she is written to appeal to that age group. And these are books for younger readers. So she is written from that perspective. But her responses to situations would not be ones that you would expect from a 12-year-old. You would expect these from someone who is much more seasoned and has much more experience. And so I found myself thinking, she's definitely not a 12-year-old. Even though she is a 12-year-old, she's definitely not a 12-year-old. So, and that could be that the writer was trying to I'm not entirely sure, maybe age her up a little bit. I would say that he could have put more in there about Stephanie really being mature for her age, and having little vignettes where she's interacting with her peers and her parents, and them saying something like, oh, you're an old soul, or something of that nature. But the only time you really get to figure out Stephanie is when she's in these situations reacting, and you don't have that sense that she is that mature yet, because it wasn't set up that she was that mature to begin with. I'm hoping I'm making myself clear here. Anyway, that's it for today. Let me know what you thought of Skulduggery Pleasant. If you've read it, let me know if you've read any of the others in the series and what you thought of those. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below, all that other stuff. And until next time, enjoy what you're reading.